Accept your death.
So over the course of these 73 episodes, I have learned so much valuable knowledge about just audio stuff, making things crisp, pacing, editing, stuff that I never really would probably go down and learn anyways. Like I've mentioned before, I'm very much a set and forget kind of person, but I found a lot of little tips and tricks and things that I probably wouldn't have found otherwise during this whole journey in the first season of our podcast here. So I want to thank you, Hater, for helping me out with that, because you're definitely big up on the audio stuff. So always
sure,
always on me to make sure that I get the right stuff going. So appreciate you.
Hey, yeah, that's no problem.
And I look forward to learning more. I don't know what more I could learn, to be honest.
You've taught me so much too, Dink. The last 73 episodes, you taught me how to live, how to love, how to laugh at myself. Yeah.
Great advice. Live, laugh, love. You know, what's wrong with that?
I know.
I don't have any of that around my house, although I wouldn't be opposed to it. Well, we'll see. But yeah, no, it's been quite a journey. It's been a lot of fun. But we're getting to the end of it as Mortal Kombat 1 kind of winds down. I feel like Final Kombat was kind of like the little nail on the head. Whether we see one more patch or not, no idea.
I know.
Hasn't
the uncertainty kind of risen in that regard? You figure we would have had it by now, right? If they were kind of waiting for Final Kombat.
Yeah, I figured that they would have had would want it done okay, Final Kombat's done, last patch, all right, bang, move on, let's go and focus on the next thing, But I don't know. I mean, to be fair, we're not 100% certain that it's there. It's just Ed Boon said that last patch was very highly unlikely, but unlikely doesn't mean guaranteed.
It could be a Christmas present.
That would be.
It could be waiting that long.
That would be so out of pocket. Just 3 months past any sort of significant thing, it's just bam, here's an update. But I mean, maybe. Your guess is as good as mine, as good as whoever's listening to this right now, right? So I mean, it is what it is. That's all that it is. We just gotta wait and see. Hopefully we get some bit of a meta shift there. We'll see. But I don't know. I'm still enjoying the game. I'm still playing it all the time, trying to get to my Elder God rank. There's some characters that make me pretty salty still, but for the most part.
Yeah? Like who?
Reptile is one of them that I really don't like. He's just an awkward matchup for Quan, because he's very strong in the areas that Quan kind of falters in. So it's, I don't know, really strong neutral. Even though a lot of people say he's on the weaker side of things, just those are the matchup things, right? For Quan, he's just annoying.
I was just reading some online discourse about, because Reptile players think that he's kind of weak overall, but I think it's because he has, as I was reading earlier, he has a hard time challenging up close, but so does Quan, right? I feel like they want to play in the same space, and he's probably a little bit better in that space.
Yeah, he just has the better buttons for to deal with that. So, but oh well, I tried on the armor portal is how they want me to play with Quan, so throw that out. And that's another thing, is Reptile has some pretty quick moves that can sometimes break the armor. He's got that one little flip thing that leads into the invisibility that the players use correctly, is kind of annoying. But
what, off his standing 3?
I think so, yeah. His invisibility setups.
That looks so cool. That was one of his buffs, right?
Yeah. His many buffs that he just kept getting, kind of like the Sub-Zero treatment,
But it's like you get a bunch of stuff. I feel like the sentiment the sentiment from his player base is thanks for the buff, but it's not really what he needed to be good, right? Thanks for the new toys and stuff, but I would have accepted less, but just like in this other category instead.
Yeah, and I feel kind of the same way with Quan, with how Quan kind of ended up. The thanks for the buff, but not quite what he needed. I mean, a little bit, I guess. He's got Got his overhead kick, which is unreactable, but hella unsafe. Most of the time, that doesn't matter if you're an armor portal, anyways. So
Right.
that is what it is. Yeah, we'll see what happens down the road. If any big changes are coming, we'll have yet to hear anything from NRS. But do you know who I did hear from? The comments. Whoa! Last week we had a bunch of comments. I'm going to put them on the screen because everyone was kind of talking about the same thing here. Was Final Kombat, and I just want to get out of the way what a kind of a mess the whole event was.
The whole thing.
The whole thing from start to finish. And like you were saying, I figured that it would be like maybe LCQ was a bit of a cluster, and then like the actual Final Kombat would be better. But no, it was all the way through. And I think that my favorite part of all of that was when they started the stream and they had ketchup and mustard on there, but they had the wrong commentating voice
audio
over it.
Yeah.
And it's just like this feminine sounding Spanish over ketchup and mustard just going.
That was during the first set, right? Which was what sent Sonic to losers, which was, you can tell they were like just being so hype and all into it and, doing like whatever, and we couldn't hear a thing they were saying. It was all the Spanish dub.
Yeah, no, it was really funny. And then when they finally fixed it and they came back on, the first thing Buster says is like, "Hola, ¿cómo estás?" Welcome to, because everyone's like tagging them on Twitter and stuff. Like, I didn't know that you speak Spanish, blah blah blah. And then just for him to just lean right into that, I lost my shit. That was way too funny.
That's really unfortunate I feel really bad for like the commentators and the players. The commentators, like, especially the kind of grace that they had to continue to have is things like that. Mr. Aquaman made a big post about like it's hard to kind of feel good about it, but I still feel good about it. It was kind of a clusterfuck, and Mustard retweeted and said I was gonna kind of like write a thing too, but I think Aquaman summed it up nicely. So yeah, that really sucks, and it's like the last of it. Like what a buzzkill! Just so anticlimactic, and it should have been the opposite.
Yeah, totally. Should have been like this big last epic event. And as I'm watching it, I was watching it on the YouTube stream, I'm thinking like, okay, well maybe we just got like kind of the worst of it, and the HBO presentation is actually, pristine and nice. And apparently it was even worse. I don't know how that could happen. But,
totally embarrassing. Like, man. And then just some of I think whoever was hired for the production, and this is just speculation, right? But it's like, and it happens a lot when it's like just gets grouped into entertainment or like whatever it may be, or just like logistics and hardware and stuff, but not knowing like how it functions, like what to expect and what your overlays are going to look like, and if you're going to be running multiple streams with multiple languages and stuff. And you could really tell there was like a lack of, when Connie, Monty, and Sonic got interrupted in the middle of their game, so they could fix the stream. Like, that is, oh my gosh, that's pretty egregious.
That is like 100% just like unspoken rule that if they're playing a competitive set, even if there's something going wrong, you let them play it out. You do not interrupt them. That's like
at least the round,
at
right?
least the round, yeah, so that you can reset that when you go back to it. And then, yeah, it's that way. And then the look on Sonic's face when they realized what was happening was just absolute anger. I'd never seen that before. And then just leaves after that set, just like, I'm out. See ya. But, don't need to celebrate anything with that one. I've done the whole weekend, made some pretty scathing tweets on there, which, to be fair, I would probably be in the same situation. So
yeah, was pretty salty. Was pretty salty about it.
Definitely, and for good reason. For good reason. So, but that being said, the storylines of this event were super duper cool. Like, seeing Gur have the run that he did after all the traveling that he did, seeing Tweety very, very narrowly making into the top 8. that was super duper cool. And then going into the top 8, actually, Nicolas was like my pick to win it, just like from kind of what it was looking like. He was looking pretty unbeatable, not gonna lie. And then of course Connie Monty too was kind of rooting for him. You always want to root for the underdog. Well, at least I do. I was hoping for Tweety as well. Tweety unfortunately went 0-2 in the top 8, but even to get there is pretty fantastic for someone who hasn't competed offline in 5 years. That's pretty nuts.
The consistency.
Yeah, exactly. Just comes back and easy top 8, no big deal. And then it is a shame because we finally got to see Connie and Sonic, but that was marred in controversy now. There'll forever be that little asterisk over that matchup. So maybe we'll see it again in the next NRS game. Who knows? But good runs by a lot of people, and then Scorpion Prox takes the whole thing. Definitely did not see that coming. And then stands on stage right next to Ed Boon and says, "Yeah, I don't really like this game." in Spanish, so Ed Boon isn't really sure what he said. And then you could see like the panic on the host's face as they're trying to like, how do I translate this? Like, I think they said something.
Ed Boon speaks Spanish, doesn't he? Isn't he Dominican?
I have zero idea, to be honest. That's
if we would have heard what he said at the beginning, right? Probably expected that to be maybe something in Spanish to the audience, but we couldn't hear anything. Was that top 8? That was the second day, right? Because we talked about that last week.
Yeah, that was I think that was top 8. I don't remember. The whole event was just kind of a blur from the get-go. So I don't really
just for a game that can't stop stepping over itself or whatever, what a way to end it. It's just insanity. It feels bad. I feel like the Mortal Kombat community, if you have any sort of online presence, you definitely feel it, like the sentiment about the game and our scene, the way the game plays. Is it a party game or is it a legitimate fighting game? And, player base is kind of like downplayed as far as like skill level and stuff like that compared to like other games. So it feels bad to give those sorts of people like just that much more ammunition. It's like, how do you defend it? You're like, oh man.
Yeah, it's true. For a game that's usually shit on, everyone's always pointing out the low tournament numbers and try to defend it, but in this case, not much of a case to be had, So, but it is what it is. So that being said, that's kind of the nail in the coffin of MK1 there. So we kind of wanted to go over our history with the game, as far as the characters that we played, the teams that we went with, and kind of reflect on that a little bit. So I kind of got a couple teams here that are notable ones that I'd say that I've mained, and then I've got a couple characters here that I've added after the fact that I put some time into, but I wouldn't say I mained at all. And I think Hater, you've done the same. Got some. Do you want to go in like in time, like from starting the game off, or do you just want to go in like significance of the pairings, or what?
Does it start with your main characters and work broader from there, right? I feel like your main characters are kind of like lots of investment, but not main characters. And then other ones that you like dabbled with, but you get like really bored really quick. They're just like too dry, or you're like, it's whatever, but you still kind of like put time in it. You had like the interest to, the opposite of this would be like no interest at all. And like on my list would be like characters I literally never touched unless it was to like lab against, was like Raiden and Johnny and who else would I put there? Homelander's definitely on there. You know what I mean? But whatever.
Yeah, because like
whatever's clever.
I would say like, as far as like the main team that I played has got to be Quan Chi Shujinko. I played that probably more than any other pairing in this game's life. Probably specifically Quan Chi, because I did play Quan with a couple other cameos, but nothing that really stuck as much as Shujinko did. And man, except for the first Combat League season that Quan Chi came out, I played Quan Chi and Sonya, and I think that's the only time that I like really
I remember that.
I really mained a different cameo, you know? Other than that, I was...
Well, you were rocking Serena for a while there too.
Yeah, I do use her.
When
She's
Shujinko wasn't cutting it.
Yeah, she's kind of like my backup cameo. Still to this day, I still pull her out every once in a while, especially with like some of the zoning changes to Quan when you can get like so much extra meter from her. It's pretty fun. Sit full screen, just watch your meter go up. Just start using EX moves, big chompies and skulls from the sky and all that kind of stuff. So I definitely would say that my main team was Quan Shi Shujinko. Who do you have as a, if you have any at all, as a main team there, Hater?
Like my numero uno?
Numero uno.
I don't know that I feel like split. I feel like divided in between. I feel like Melina's who I probably spent the most time playing for sure, but I was definitely playing more new Cybot than anything else, you know, towards the end of the game's life. And I was kind of starting to split my time between the two, just depending on the matchup or just like what I was in the mood for. So I would say those two kind of cohabitate. They really fulfilled a specific itch that no other characters in this game did. So I would put both of them. And it was like Melina Sector for sure. Melina Serena early on, and then moved into Sector for all the, you know, the mix-ups and the extra neutral and stuff. That missile's just too good. And then they buffed the missile, which gave her like way easier access to armored launcher. I think she might have got that before the buff, but I think the throw combo may have been new, and she's kind of notoriously hard to get throw combos with cameos or whatever. So
right.
I think Melina Sector's probably the GOAT.
It's a good team
For me.
Yeah, I still see that team a lot. And whenever I see Melina's, it's like 90% of the time with Sector. So that team's
It's a lot of fun because she just gets really good Oki and with the missile to back it up, and you know she's got timings that don't care about your delay wake up and things like that. So it's kind of momentum based, but man, it's fun.
Yeah, no, I've played against that team enough to know that it's got the sauce, all sorts of safety, little conversions. Which Melina, I think you've said before, but to me it feels like Melina almost. If Melina had no cameo, she'd be just fine. She's got the mix, she's got damage, she's got kind of everything. The cameo just kind of adds to kind of how you want to play her, which is, I think, is a good indication of the system in general, right?
Right. They gave her some pretty glaring weaknesses, like the projectiles don't go full screen, and I feel like that's the blank that they wanted you to fill in with your cameo. Like if there was no cameo system in this game, I feel like all you'd have to do is make her projectiles go full screen, and she's ready to rock. They'd have to do a lot more to a character like, I don't know, Tanya or whoever,
Right.
to kind of get them to that level. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good team. I think I remember you making a couple videos on that team, if I remember correctly, a couple of tutorial things.
Yeah, and I went through the cameo carousel and stuff. I tried a lot, but I'm the kind of guy when I go to a restaurant, even though there's like 40 things that sound good on the menu, I've been there before and I know what I had last time was good, so I just order it again, you know?
Yeah. I just feel like there's like one point in your life where you like establish that order, you know, and that's just your order for the rest of time.
Yeah. Once I feel like there's something that I like vibe with, you know, it's hard to get me away from it. There's always like the shiny new toys as new things are introduced and stuff like that. But then, you know, that's when you figure out whether it is old reliable or it's time to move on, right? But
yeah, exactly. My next team that I have here is kind of one that seems like so long ago, but I did play it pretty religiously. Was Sindel and Shujinko. And that was my team that I went to Evo with, and I think I got 65th at Evo last Evo, which was good for me. It was in the top 10%. So these old bones still had it for my last any Evo debut or whatever you want to call it.
What was your record? 2 and 3, 3 and 3?
No, it was more than that. I'd have to look at the bracket again because there was like it was a pool into another pool, and I think I made it to the third one
or 3. 2, I mean 3 and 2 is what I was saying. 4 and 2.
Yeah, I think it was 4-2 or 5-2, something like that. It was
Right.
it was a pretty good run because there was some inexperienced people that were sitting that I had to play right off the bat. I was watching these two Barakas go at it, and they were both pretty green. It looked like, and it made it more fun to watch than some of the higher level stuff. It was just super entertaining down to like the last round and just seeing the pop off on the win. Those are the fun. Those are the fun things about Evo. But yeah, Sindel Shujinko, I still think is one of Shujinko's better teams. Any team that gives a restand is like automatically top tier with Shujinko, because there's some crazy stuff you can do, especially against like Kenshi, where you can like combo them, restand into pull out Sento, and then Sento pressure with whatever character you're using. It's pretty gross.
Right.
That was probably what I think I should revisit that team. That was a lot of fun. Now that kind of everything's laid out and done with, I can maybe go back to some teams and try them out a little bit, see how they run. Do you have any other notable characters or cameos or anything on your notes there?
Well, we both played Sector. There was a time where you said that you were dropping Quan for Sector, but that didn't last. But
No.
would you consider her like one of your main teams, or maybe not? I would consider her kind of like below the Melina noob tier. Because I did play her for like a little bit, and she was like really fun. But I don't know.
I have her kind of on the bottom here. I have her right underneath Sindel, actually, on my list. Oh yeah, I will definitely go back to her as well, because yeah, she's really the only other zoner in the game, and she does it really well. And then she has the good buttons, so she doesn't have the weaknesses that Quan has. Really good mid, good combo damage with Shujinko. Fun little setups.
Yep.
I like her a lot, and of course, really enjoy her the VA behind that character. So that's a little added lore bonus for me. So yeah, I think I'll probably go back to her at one point. I usually say whenever I'm getting cooked with Quan, I say I'm dropping Quan for Sector. Every single. That's how you tell I'm salty. I'm dropping Quan for Sector. But I never do.
She works up. She might be Frost's best team and stuff. That's why I like that team a lot. I don't really like her with other cameos, but I like the way that team plays. With the just access to Frost Orb stuff pretty consistently, and decent damage and good stuff off her, forward 2 or forward advancing mid, and not her strongest cameo, but it's really fun. Her like Sector Frost and Noob Frost, I feel like, are kind of like in a league of their own as far out of the characters that I played.
Right.
That's pretty fun stuff.
I've been meaning to pick up a Frost team, so I was maybe that's I will get back into Sectors. I'll play some Sector Frost, see if I can make some stuff work. I think you had a video on that too, maybe? Question mark. I might go look at that.
It's unlisted. I sent it to you last time that we had this conversation.
Right.
You're like, yeah, I'm just gonna play Sector Frost, and we talked about it, and I sent you that thing to show you some Sector Frost orb things, mix-up things.
And then it just never transpired.
Here we are, full circle. Yeah.
Back at it again. Oh, that's too funny. Yeah, and then I had the only other character I have on here, on like characters that I mained, is Shang, and that was mostly because when the game came out, there was no Quan, so he was the closest thing to it, and I actually enjoyed him a lot, even though he was not the greatest. I still think in my head that he's just way too big brained for this game. Like, I think that he could be one of the better characters in this game, but the amount of time that you have to sink into him, and even seeing like some Shang mains, the time that they put into him, like Wraith and whatnot, I don't know. I think that he's just a little bit too much for how much time you have to put into him, in my opinion anyways. But he's fun, especially with that little cameo steal that they gave him. So
that is pretty cool. But that's just more stuff that's just reliant on what your opponent is. I guess, that's what Shang Tsung is. That definitely does not appeal to me, that sort of stuff. Like when I hit a button, I want it to be the same thing when I hit it, right? Not depend on the matchup or my proximity or, whatever.
Yeah, and see, I'm kind of like, I'm the opposite of that. I like the challenge of like being rewarded for putting in the time to like learn all that stuff. Like that's why I really liked Shujinko a lot, because sometimes it felt like I got rewarded for for my knowledge. When you hit a Baraka with a wake up projectile because it's fast enough to counter the iframes, and you're like, yeah, stuff like that. Super duper fun.
When you know that they're learning. They're learning. This might be the first time they've ever, been in that situation. Because who's rocking that cameo?
Yeah, who's playing that one outside of like Conan the Barbarian players, He's on my list of characters that I played that I didn't main. One of them that,
but you still kind of like invested, and that's probably who I would like. Where I'd put like Ashra, my Ashra Movado team. I would say is probably like the same thing. Didn't main, but spent time kind of like trying, kind of fucking around, and
I think that team's super strong. I think from the things that it can do and then little converts and stuff that you can get, it's super annoying.
Yeah. But you miss Conan, Big Sweaty Arnold?
No, I don't miss that character. It was one of the things where I just 100% played it for the moveset. Like it was meshed really well with Shujinko. You got good damage, fun little cancel stuff, even though like my execution is never really that great for that kind of gameplay. But I don't really miss him. I don't think I'll ever really touch that character again. The only other character that I have in that kind of category is Scorpion, because I did play Scorpion Shujinko for a time, and I think that team's really good too. Again, the whole restand thing.
Yeah.
So those are the only two that I kind of had in my like invested into, because I was looking at the roster yesterday. I did flirt with Kung Lao a little bit, which is not like me at all.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
He didn't really stick with me. That was pretty early on, I think. Kind of when I was like
same
waiting for Quan, and I wasn't sure about Shang, so I was just kind of playing around with these different characters. And
who else would you put in that category? So this is kind of what I was talking about at the beginning. So now that we're past like the mains and like and all that stuff, who's the characters that you were interesting enough to like go learn a few combos, may even played a few matches, and you're like, oh man, this kind of sucks, or this just isn't for me, or something like that. Who would you put in that category?
Yeah, so in that category, Natara is definitely one that I messed around with a little bit. Just a little bit too maniacal for how I like to play. But I did
too frantic.
Yeah, she's like always got to be doing something, right? And floating up in the air and all these air shenanigans. It just wasn't really for me. But I did give it a try. I played a couple matches, but didn't really go anywhere. Who's another one that I tried? There's one of the Ghostface. Ghostface was one that I messed around with a little bit, and then I think I played 2 matches, and I was like, no thanks. The whole stance switching thing and like backstage pass and all that kind of stuff.
I did that with Ghostface too, or I fucked around with him for like a couple weeks. He was like a palate cleanser or whatever. Really fun to learn. I wasn't expecting to play him. I just was kind of had him in practice mode, see what he was all about. Looked up a couple combos, and I was like, this is cool. This has like a cool flow to it. And, you try some things. He's got really good cameo synergy and stuff. And I played him for like a week or 2. But I'm a horrible Ghostface.
Yeah, I'm not good with him either. But I agree with you. He is kind of fun. His combo pathing is pretty fun and unique. Obviously, restand is nice and a little bit of mix. So
restand and mid command grab for a bar.
Yeah, that's craziness. It's super strong character, at least in my opinion, especially in like the current meta now. Like seeing all the stuff that Foxy Grandpa was doing with Ghostface Striker, disgusting, absolutely disgusting. Right. And his combos are really long too, so you get that cameo regeneration during the combos.
Right.
That's important too. That was a good thing for Shujinko as well, because Shujinko could almost fully charge during any B&B.
I kind of miss that in 2X KO. The way they have the assists balanced, the cooldown doesn't start if you use an assist in a combo. The cooldown doesn't start until the combo's over. Right. So there's nothing like that, like trying to get it to recharge, and it would be kind of broke in that game. But I miss having that as like a consideration. When you're kind of putting combo pathing together, especially if you're leading into like it's something that doesn't have to kill or isn't going to be close to killing. So you kind of just go for, the the opportunity, like Oki or setup or whatever instead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That stuff's fun. That's the fun stuff. And I think that's really that's really it. When I'm thinking of the other characters that I maybe like messed around with, I've gone into practice mode with Sub-Zero, but never like too seriously, you know? It's always been kind of like, maybe I'll find something today, and then just nothing. I don't really care for that character in this game anyways. I don't know. I didn't really like him. Didn't like the way that they did Sub-Zero.
I liked him. I didn't really. He was my beta character, and I messed around with him like a little bit. I put him like in the same category as Ashram Movado for me. You know, played him off and on here and there. I never really found like a good team with him. The way I did with some of my others that I clicked with like a little bit more. I never quite found that kind of like it sort of fuck yeah factor with him, but.
Right.
He's cool. I'm kind of just like Sub-Zero in general. Like he was my very, very first character, like all the way back in the day and stuff. So he's like everybody's kind of got that character. I feel like, you know, I feel like Liu Kang is that character for a lot of people.
Yeah. Actually, you just reminded me that Baraka was that character for me, and again, tried him out, played a couple matches. He's just way too dry. It just wasn't fun to play him in this game. You know?
Yeah, I didn't get many endorphin hits playing him, but I tried. I messed around some. I don't even remember what cameo I was using. What cameo were you using?
I was using Shujinko because he does have like, if you hit the Shujinko crumple, he can like fully charge his 4-3 overhead, and that gives him a damage boost. So that was pretty good. Hitting like 46% meterless kind of idea.
I remember him being one of the worst Frost teams that I like actually investigated, like her as a cameo with whatever character. Of like all the characters I did that with, Baraka was definitely like fucking F tier.
Sauceless.
As far as trying to get like orbs out or something like that, right? Safely and things like that. I couldn't find much synergy at all. Man, I don't remember what cameo I played with him, but
apparently
anyway, I moved on pretty fast.
Yeah, I could see him like, because most of his combos you're splatting your opponent right in your face, so you don't really want to try and get a Frost Orb out when you're right in your opponent's face unless you got some crazy hit advantage off something, which don't really think he does.
He doesn't. So exactly. So he doesn't have either of those things. So even if you do like the empty overhead and just waste your launcher, waste your damage to go for a mix up with orb or whatever, you can't even do it in that situation.
Right.
Not that you should, but.
Not that you should. No, I would definitely agree with that. I did mess around with Liu Kang as well a little bit. I don't think I really played any matches.
And he was your beta character, right?
That's right. I was, because you remind me of that when you said beta. Man, that was such a long time ago. I think it was Liu Kang and Kano that I played. I had a combo where you go full screen. You do like the air dragon fire thing, Kano knives, and then the little flying kick. And that was my beta. Huh? Yeah, as soon as the beta was done, I don't think I ever touched that cameo again. It's just too bland, just too blah, you know. Just he's good, he's effective at what he does, but. And
I've never been much of a Kano fan, like lore wise and stuff, story wise. Like he's okay. I don't hate him, but I don't like love him like either. I'm just kind of you know. I'm pretty neutral in Kano overall.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't know, maybe a little bit more on the dislike side of things, but he does have his moments. He is kind of funny in some of the quotes that he has, like in MK1 with him and Scarlet. Like, would you settle for me, sausage? You know, like shit like that's kind of funny. That gets me. But he is kind of a hit and miss. So, but if you could give the cameo system a rating out of 10, just like kind of overall for MK1, whereabouts would you think you'd be sitting there, Hater?
I don't know, because I really didn't like it at the beginning, and it's not that I like it now, but you know, you kind of get over it if you want to play the game. It's not like it's going anywhere, right? So I would say if you were to ask me a binary, would you prefer not to have it? I would say yes. But once you kind of like get to that acceptance sort of thing, I would give it a solid 5 out of 10.
Okay. All right. That's actually higher than I thought you would give it. So that's good.
I'd say it's half and half because I've had my fun with it, right? And like it's got its fair share of like bullshit, but its fair share of like, especially as things started to hash out, as the game kind of like went on. But it's also what made the game so stupid. When it was like broke, right? Like when Farrah came out and stuff like we've talked about this before, right? Every time they introduce a new something and the whole meta shifts or whatever, like what Chameleon and Farrah did to this game, just all by themselves.
DLC, baby.
It's insanity.
I agree with you. There was some pretty broke stuff. I gave it a little bit higher. I was say a 7 out of 10. I think the system is cool. It's a cool idea. I really like how it's a way to include more characters from the Mortal Kombat universe into the game. If you're going to have like because it really just felt like a kind of variation system, but just kind of reskinned with characters. So I thought that was kind of cool. I wish I would have seen more of that, more of the cameos in the story, just to kind of give them more of an identity rather than they're just kind of there, But that's a bit nitpicky, but yeah. 7 out of 10 in my books. I do share that same binary with you though, where like if they asked me if I wanted them again, I'd be like, no thanks. One game is enough. This was your gimmick.
Right.
Super cool. Well done. Move on to the next thing. No idea. I really wish we could go to an MK9 kind of thing where everybody has a move set. Here's your move set. Use it. What happened to the good old days?
And like, so last night Rio posted a new video to YouTube talking about the combo system in MK1 and kind of like his gripes with it and stuff. And he kind of goes over the real kind of like fundamental stuff about player interaction and stuff like that. Right. And when agency is removed from like one person, that's where it's kind of like, okay, how long is this combo going to go? Right. And stuff. And he was comparing it a lot to like UMK3 combos. Like you can do shorter combos that do the same amount of damage and it can still be like super hype. But he thinks that like, I hadn't really thought about it this way until he said it. And you let me know what you think. But combos seem like so long in MK1, right? Like it's very common for a combo to go on for like 15 or 20 seconds and stuff like that for, like 500 damage or something. But it's because they want the game to be so cinematic. They had to like slow everything down. So, it's like a movie playing out or something like that, right? Those really cinematic sort of things. So they made it slower to compensate for that. But the consequence of that is that they take so fucking long and things. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I'd say I agree with that, and I think like maybe part of that too is kind of planning for cameo regeneration as well. That kind of killing that timer or making the cameos more accessible so the combos are longer.
All right,
maybe. But I agree with the cinematic part because that's always been kind of Mortal Kombat's thing. Is it's really, really flashy and entertaining to look at, and
but it kind of like slows the whole game down, right? Because the special moves or whatever you're using to launch and start the sort of thing, right? That's part of your core kit. So everything just kind of like moves that way. So the game just is kind of inherently feels slower than say like MK9, obviously like UMK3.
Yeah, MK9. I mean, you want to talk about long combos? MK9 has some freaking long combos, especially when you get like smoke and Cyrax and that kind of stuff. But they aren't quite as flashy as MK1, especially when you have like the cameos involved and all that kind of stuff. So I definitely I would say that I'm not bothered by how long the combos are in this game, but I definitely acknowledge that they're longer than some previous games for sure. So
and I feel like and it felt okay, right? Like it's definitely an upgrade from MK11.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. MK11. Oof. You know what? Every day that goes by, I just think about installing it, just playing it again, just seeing how it feels. Just compared to. I haven't touched it since MK1 came out. So,
who did you play in that game?
I made Cetrion. Yeah,
that's right.
But then towards the end of the game's life, I was just picking a new character for every Kombat League that they came out with.
I remember that. So if you were to open MK11 right now, who's the first character you would take into practice mode or the towers or whatever?
Probably Cetrion. Yeah, probably that character, just to get a feeling for that again, like the boulder and the ground pound kind of shenanigans. And then probably Spawn as well. Spawn was my main at the end of the game's life. Took him to Canada Cup, got third. Meshed really well with him. I think if I were to play any matches, I would probably regret it though. Like opening the game. It'd only take me like a couple matches to be like, okay, this is uninstalled right away. But I don't know.
I don't know how I feel about that game. We talked about this last week or the week before, but there's like so many other options now. Like at this point, as like the current game's like winding down, is when a lot of people go to like the previous game, or when they're just like a lot of people did that with MK11 like a year and a half ago. And stuff, just like during Injustice 2, we went back to kind of MKX while we were waiting for MK11. And, a lot of Injustice 2 again, after, when people were sick of MK11 and waiting for MK1 or whatever and stuff. But there's just like so many other games, fighting games, and like not. I just feel like I have no urge to open MK11 again for as long as I live.
Yeah, I feel that. I definitely feel that. There's way other games coming out. At 2XKO starts on Tuesday. So I'll be digging into that. And yeah, there's just no reason to open that up again out of, like I said, sheer curiosity. Like, is it really as bad as I remember it being?
I mean, did you have good nostalgia? I think a lot of it isn't necessarily the game, but it's like the era, kind of like, represents COVID and, the kind of transitions that come along with that, like compounded with like the frustrations of a fighting game, and then specifically some of MK11's like problems and stuff. It just has this kind of like ick to it,
Yeah.
like in my head. I'm just gonna like, no, I'm good.
I never really thought about that before, but you're right. It's just that whole era was just a dark time in both Mortal Kombat and humanity, I guess. Because like I've said always that like the first fighting game that you take seriously will always be held to a higher standard in your head than anyone that comes after it. Because that's like, you've broken into it. That's where you started. You got your experience from. You learned in that game. You're emotionally tied to that game more than any other game. Like MK9, for example, I have like the best memories of the time with that game because it was like the first time I traveled for tournaments, and I met so many people in that era of that game. Does that make it the most balanced, best Mortal Kombat ever? No, but it's one of my favorites just because that was the era that I started in getting into the community more of competitiveness kind of idea, so it holds a higher standard. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. And I think that's why when we talk about stuff like this, it's all relative, right? And everybody's going to have a different answer. And if they have the same answer, right, that's your bonding moment. And that's how you meet, new homies and new people to play the game with and stuff.
Yeah, it's true. Like so many people that I see talk about MKX being the best Mortal Kombat ever, and those are people who like a lot of the time came into, or maybe they had like the top of their game during that game's life or something, right? So
exactly, or that was also came out like the year they graduated high school and things were just on the up and up anyway, in their last summer before they went off to college, and then they remember grinding it like early in college and like all that sort of stuff, right? That is, kind of like feeds into that. The game doesn't exist in it's part of a bigger experience, right? And people that play, it's really easy to spend a lot of time playing fighting games. And, when you invest that kind of time, it's definitely a kind of a part of the whole experience.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be interesting to see the people who MK1 was their first game, because this game is going to have a definitely, I'd say, different legacy. When I think of like what Mortal Kombat 1's legacy is, it feels like a tale of warning, like here's a game with all the things you shouldn't do, for a fighting game or a Mortal Kombat game.
But I think that bubble may have burst, right? With the kind of like recent shakeup at WB, and there's an NRS guy on the board or something now, or I don't remember what all the logistics were, right? And there was the thing about James Gunn went and talked to Rocksteady Studios and NRS and things, and there's other James Gunn interviews talking about like he's focusing on video games and TV and stuff like that. I think that meeting he had with NRS wasn't like, give me a game that's like this, you know. Well, I think that actually was right. Like you do your thing, right? But no more of this evil Superman bullshit. Like it needs to be like on par with what we're doing in the cinematic universe, right? Like tonally or like whatever. Who knows?
Right.
Do you think Injustice is next? Is that like a tired question at this point?
I think maybe, but like, I don't know. I think that all signs kind of point to yes. Like, especially like you said, that James Gunn going there and kind of talking with NetherRealm. I would, if I had to guess, I would say yes, but I wouldn't be sad if it wasn't. You know, like I really enjoyed Injustice 2, Injustice Gods Among Us at the time, I guess. But I'm a Mortal Kombat fan more than I am a DC fan. So I would, if I had my way, I'd have another Mortal Kombat game that's done right before kind of moving on to.
I don't think they can. I don't think they can do it right until they kind of step away from it for a little bit and let the good ideas come to the surface instead of just milking that poor withered udder more than it already has been, right? Because I mean, I like Mortal Kombat more than Injustice as well, but I also like hamburgers and I also like pasta, right? I don't want to eat a hamburger every day. I kind of like want to break that up, so I don't get kind of like tired of it.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, it would have been nice if they could have had like Injustice 3 come out and then just kind of having some smaller updates for MK1 and just kind of keep that game going in the background until they can kind of get a better full-fledged Mortal Kombat game go out. I mean, that would be the ideal for me because then I kind of have the best of both worlds. But given their the size of their team and whatnot, I don't think that would ever be a thing. But yeah, I if I had to guess, I'd say we're getting Injustice 3 next. When it will be announced, I have no idea. I'm hoping the Game Awards, so we have like something to look forward to, you know, because right now we're just in that weird limbo. Like, are we getting another patch? Who knows? They even started being a meme in the Discord. It's just like every day it's like no patch, you know. Just
I know. I wonder how long they're going to drag that on, or if we're just going because they technically use plural. And like you said, Ed Boon said it's not guaranteed, but it's like very likely. And he was asking for 4 more characters that people think still need stuff, and that we haven't gotten it. I mean, it's only been a week after Final Combat, but I feel like maybe they're in hiding because of just like the fiasco.
Doing damage control.
They've posted, right? They posted about the winners and stuff like that. So I don't know.
Yeah, they really struggle spelling Movado. You know? I've noticed that. Movodo. Yeah, so I don't know.
Good old Mo.
Just call him Mo around the office, but I feel like it's like because I remember Street Fighter V having like a similar thing where like at launch it was just like universally disliked and then ended up kind of right at the end of the game's life being an okay game. And I feel like MK1 is kind of on that same trajectory, you know? It's like and it ended up being not too bad, but I mean still missing a lot of core things that make the franchise what it is.
You know, you want to know what made... I think that Street Fighter V players agree that it kind of like got better as it went on. Launch was really rough, and some people started to come around like around season 2, but like really, especially towards all the goodwill they were earning towards like the later phase of the game. The thing that changed that was that they changed creative directors.
Oh, interesting.
Passed the torch, and those are also the ones that were behind the creative direction of Street Fighter 6, right? So
yeah,
I don't think you'd see a change like that without, you know, a behind the scenes change like that.
Right. There was one actually really big change that I believe was just announced yesterday, and that's that Dan Forden is leaving NRS. Has already left. He was head of sound, I think, something like that, for 37 years. And
he joined Midway in 1989. I read
that's
and like he's like the one of the like when it was only 3 or 4 guys or whatever, right? He was one of them. John Tobias, Ed Boon, Dan Forden, and was there one other guy?
I think maybe John Vogel. I can't remember.
Oh, I don't remember.
It was too long ago, but absolute legend in the industry, and not really too much details on why he left, which I found interesting because like totally wouldn't be surprised if he's just retiring, just like, yeah, no, I'm at that age, just going by. Generally, there's like a happy retirement kind of note or something like that goes along with it, and like if we get word later that he's moved on to a different studio, then that will be really like, hey, what happened here, like, it'll be interesting, but I don't know. It'd be a shame to lose him. Yeah.
Toasty.
Toasty. Yeah, if you didn't know, he's the Toasty guy. Pumps up an MK2 and an MK11 on the tournament stage, I think. I never really discovered how to make that happen. I knew it had something to do with down twos, but didn't seem to be consistent.
Right. Something like that.
So we'll see if he passes the torch to anyone else, or if whoever does sound next. We got big shoes to fill. I enjoyed the music in MK1. It wasn't like kind of blow you away kind of idea, but I felt it was the DLC stages kind of stood out a little bit more than the main roster stages.
Yeah, I don't know if he did all the OST stuff or was mainly like other audio. If it even was, I'm not familiar. I saw it in passing yesterday. Someone had a screen cap of him saying something about it on Instagram.
Right.
About him leaving. Dude, what's the audio? I'm trying to look it up.
I'm pretty sure he was head of audio or whatever, that audio director, something like that. Not sure his official job title, but
oh yeah, sound programmer and music composer.
Yeah, I think there was one game where they actually used somebody else for the sound. Can't remember what game that is. I want to say maybe Injustice 2, but I don't know what he was doing at the time. But for some reason, I remember them using somebody else to do it. It definitely wasn't as standout-ish, but
I think the stage music in MK1 is definitely an upgrade from MK11, which was, and like Injustice 2. Injustice 2 was like, okay, I don't know. I end up just turning the music off because I spend so much time with like the game open and it just gets like way too repetitive, like menu music and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
But I don't know. MK11, I feel like, was kind of the worst.
It definitely was the worst. It was just so underwhelming and like didn't really have any sort of like vibe to it. It was just kind of like noise in the background kind of idea, But,
yeah, it was more like ambience, like musical ambience.
Yeah. And then like meaningful, music to battle your opponents to, right?
Right.
What is that? Outworld Market or whatever on MK1. That song slaps. That's a good one right there.
I really like a lot of this. Well, now you got me just thinking about stages. I really like a lot of the MKX stages. I don't know why we don't have that pit back. We talk about that a lot. I don't know why we haven't seen that since. It's so cool. And it's so Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, it's like when you think of Mortal Kombat, I feel like everybody thinks of that particular stage, seeing somebody being uppercutted to their demise down at the bottom. So
it's just such a, I feel like it just represents Mortal Kombat, right? It's part of like their signature sort of thing. You're fighting on a main bridge and you can see people fighting on a bridge behind you. And yeah, you can get like uppercutted off, and fall to your death at the end. Any version of that, right? Dress it up however you want. But, with that general motif, I feel like that says Mortal Kombat to me,
I feel like that's something that like they could just shoehorn into any game and no one would be upset about it.
I know, and just like make it DLC or something.
Yeah, it's just like,
so it doesn't have to relate to your story.
I don't know. I think it would be like, I think it would almost be funny if they just kind of had it in the story. You know, it's kind of like when they say the name of a movie in the movie. You know, it's just like, oh, where did he take Reptile to? Oh, they're at the pit. Okay, let's go to the pit. You know,
right?
They go there.
Dude, and it can even be like, you know, in the Tarkatan colony, these little like wooden rope like bridges or whatever. Make that the pit, and you fall into the giant cavern or into the canyon or whatever, and get impaled by something creative down there.
Yeah, it just seems like such a win, such a easy dub that they don't do it. So
I really like the Cove as well.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that stage. I forget about most of the stages in that game. They're well done though. That's the one where you can like knock them into the Kraken or whatever, right? In the
yeah, you're like
dock.
on the pier. Maybe I like that for the same reasons, right? You're on a little bridge and stuff, surrounded by water. The cool skull, like, you know, rocks in the background.
Just like dead bodies that wash up that you can grab and throw at your
opponent.
opponent.
Yeah. Man, those were the days.
That's the one thing that I really like about MKX was the whole like the dark, gritty feel to it. I feel like MK11 like certainly did not have that at all, and MK1 kind of does a little bit more with like Chaos Reigns, but like I feel like MKX really had like that dark metal vibe to it that like so suits Mortal Kombat.
It does, and I feel like they definitely made points to, well, because I feel like MK11 definitely has this kind of like darker, desaturated like overtone, right? It's less dark and gritty like MKX was, and it's more like dark, you know, ethereal or whatever. Like, I don't know, like the Shinnok theme, like that Shinnok stage and stuff like that. It's a little bit more, right. I don't know, spooky or something. I'm not sure the words I'm looking for. And then MK1, they try to add a lot of vibrancy and stuff back to like the color palettes, which isn't really Mortal. It's a nice change of pace, and it makes it like way easier on the eyes. It doesn't take away from it, I don't feel like, but it doesn't add to it feeling like Mortal Kombat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. They're kind of, I don't know, like the whole like vibrant trees and all that kind of thing. I'm not super duper. That doesn't scream MK to me. Like I get they're going with like the Shaolin feel and all that kind of stuff, but like I like things more like the corrupted forest, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Even like Shang Tsung's laboratory to some extent is just kind of weird, funky little thing, you know. So those are the things. It'll be interesting to see what stages we have in the next Mortal Kombat game and what kind of overall theme they did. Because even when they went with the darker thing, like the Chaos Reigns, which felt definitely darker, but it was almost like a cartoony kind of dark. I felt. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, because they use like so much pink and so much like whatever, and they have this hyper realistic thing going on, and I feel like during the actual gameplay, the game itself has a hard time really kind of separating the foreground, like the characters moving around, from the background. That can all kind of blur together sometimes, especially with the combination of stages and skins historically in like, you know, NRS games, right? Like Infrared Scorpion on
oh god,
whatever stage.
I fucking hate that. Infrared.
You know what I mean, right?
Yeah. Up to Sky
games
Temple.
like Strive and 2XKO and Street Fighter, the way they're stylized, it gets to pop a lot more. And MK can never be that way, I feel like, unless they kind of stylize it. But that takes away from, you know, all their technology and the way they've kind of, you know, we're on the up and up, kind of revolutionized a lot of that technology, you know, the whole human face thing to video game and expressions and the million billion cameras and stuff they have. So I don't imagine them changing any of that, but we'll see.
It'd be kind of an interesting little side thing if they made like a little animated Mortal Kombat fighting game. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what that would look like. Because we've seen like the animated movies, right?
Yeah, they should do it for like Injustice. If they did an Injustice that was stylized like Marvel Tokon, like a little, at least like in that category, like not a 1-for-1, but that kind of stylization, you know, the Invincible versus game, like any of that sort of stuff. I think that I don't know, are they those sorts of artists?
Man, that's such a cool idea. I love that so much. I'm not sure why I've never even thought of that. Yeah, the next Injustice game is like a little bit more on the animated side. It would make sense with the comics and stuff like that. So like, yeah, like you said, I don't know if they would be able to. They've based their team so much around these like 2.5D models. I don't know if they would be able to pivot like that.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens whenever the next game drops. We'll be around to chat about it every week, like we did with this game for the most part. We started a little bit late, but that's all right. We still did pretty good, I'd say. That's going to be it for season 1 of the Bonehawk podcast. Hater, do you have any closing words or thoughts or anything surrounding MK1 that you wanted to kind of go out on?
Not really. Do you?
How anticlimactic. I
know.
I set you up on this giant pedestal. You're like, nope.
You put me on the spot. I don't know. I feel like I repeat myself every week, so I probably don't have anything, you know. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Hater, I'm going to have a little inspirational little thing on the screen, I'm sure. Little sunset and everything. But
that'll be beautiful.
It'll be beautiful. And I echo that sentiment. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks everyone who tuned in every single week. We're just, like I said, this is just going to be the end of this current season. We'll be back to chat more whenever the next game is announced. But hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you found us entertaining over the last 74 weeks. It'll be now. So yeah. Well, that's it. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like because it really helps me out, and subscribe if you haven't because I make new videos almost every single day. Hashtag Bonehawks, all that stuff, and we'll see all you Bonehawks in the next video.
Accept your death.